Welcome to another episode of Coach and Coffee.
Today we're doing something a little bit different.
Yes, we've each written down 5 questions that the other person doesn't know. It's OCR related. I mean, it's just going to be good information, and also I put in a funny question. I think it's funny at the end, but
several of mine are funnier, or I think they're funny, or might be funny. I don't know.
Either way, we're being put on the spot.
Yeah.
Are you ready? I'm going to go first.
All right. Okay.
Simple question. What was your favorite race? And why? 2 questions, sort of.
Yeah, why is the same thing. So, my favorite ones are the ones I performed the best at, as in I didn't make any mistakes. I did everything as best as I could at the time. So, but then again, I also like ones that are super hard, but you make it through, and like you know, that's just a cool psychological thing and feeling to accomplish something.
Well,
Probably.
let me rephrase the question.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your greatest experience?
Okay, greatest experience, though it was also the most miserable race experience, was the ultra I did last November, the Mill Spring Ultra, because it was, the first lap was so fast to stay with the top 3 or top 4,
4.
maybe top
5.
No, top 5.
You were in 5th place.
Coming into transition, I was in 5th. The first video you got, I was in 6th. So yeah, to stay in the top several was very hard the first lap because it was faster than I normally go for that type of distance. And the second lap, the course was shredded from all the hundreds of open and age group racers who went out there. All mud, muddy steep slopes, very little traction, gusts of wind, cold, rain. Miserable, but it was the best, the most accomplished I felt at one, having done that and done it at the 3rd best level.
You got on the podium.
That's the answer. Yeah. It was the hardest one I've done, maybe one of the harder things I've ever done, and so that one by far.
Okay.
All right. This ought to be interesting.
I get nervous.
And I might phrase this a little bit differently to explain what I mean. Has anyone ever told you to, quote unquote, chill out about how seriously you work towards your OCR/high rocks goals? Like, has anyone ever told you, like, it's not that big a deal, it doesn't matter?
I wouldn't say
Or like,
that.
why are you putting that much work into it?
I have often, so OCR/high rocks, functional fitness, whatever, that genre of sports is not very well known, and the people who do know about it know that it's a smaller sport, you know, you're not making millions of dollars contracts with all
That's
this
for
stuff
sure.
or whatever. So I get kind of that impression, like, oh, that's kind of stupid, why are you doing that? Like, nobody's directly said that, nobody's told me I shouldn't pursue it or work so hard. A lot of people are actually pretty encouraging about it, but it's more like you're wasting your time. That's the impression I've got from, but that's mostly from people who don't really know what the sport is, have never done it. It's after I explain it. They're like, oh, so what do you know, I tell them a little bit about it. They're like, oh, okay, that's cool. Because you try and explain to somebody like, oh, I crawl under barbed wire in the mud and it's so much fun. And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, nobody's tried to like tell me I shouldn't do it, but some people are just kind of like, eh. So,
Cool.
All right. What is your greatest fear while racing?
Face planting, I think. Running downhill. Actually, yeah, without a doubt, that's my worst fear. Running downhill, catching a toe on something, and going face first into like rocks going downhill.
That's a legitimate fear.
Yeah, I just don't see how you could come back at, like, I'm sure you could fall like that and not get really hurt. You'll get scraped up or whatever, but you could be totally fine. But I just imagine, like, you know, you get gashed up, you bruise something, you twist something, break something. Yeah, I just imagine it would ruin a race. And it's more than just that race. I don't like the idea of getting injured also in my training runs running downhill, because that means I can't train after that. And there's nothing I hate more than the idea that I'm going to be out of training for a long time. I just like training, so yeah, that's definitely it. This one's, I think, funny. Would you rather, if you were forced to choose between these two things, would you rather run a race in a business suit, like a full-out business suit, or a Speedo, and why?
I would say a Speedo because, I mean, you go through a water obstacle in a business suit, you're going to weigh 1,000 pounds.
It's true.
Imagine trying to climb a rope with a monkey suit on. It's not going to work.
It's true.
A Speedo, I mean, you're basically free.
You're very free.
The water's just going to rinse off you. I mean, and look, how many people have done that in Speedos? Quite a few.
lot. Pretty much, there are people who've run in like thongs, not even Speedos.
I was stuck behind a guy running in a thong once, up a hill. Every time you look up, it's... So definitely a Speedo.
Yeah.
I think that would be more freeing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Less weight to carry, less hot. Yeah, it might feel awkward at first, but you definitely perform better.
I mean, shoot, some of the shorts these days are so short anyway, it doesn't matter.
True.
I've got some of the running shorts, like... okay, what is the number one thing you would change in OCR?
Ooh. Ooh. Probably, let's see. Well, some races have mandatory obstacle completion, and some, like Spartan, do not. I believe I mean, I might be wrong. I've only done one bone frog, but I believe if you failed it, you had to pay a penalty, but you were allowed to move forward in the competitive wave as well. And like they didn't take a time, like not like Savage Race where if you can't complete it, you lose your pro timing chip or whatever.
You're banned.
You're banned, yeah. So I would say I'd make, in the whole of OCR sport, mandatory obstacle completion for the competitive waves. If you can't make it, then like even if you ran a course in 50 minutes and someone else, and you lost your band but someone ran it in 60 but they kept their band, they would beat you because they could do all the obstacles. So I would make it the whole, and all of OCR, mandatory obstacle completion for competitive waves, or you don't place, you can't be on the podium. Which maybe doesn't work for Spartan with like the spear throw and stuff, but maybe you just get to try multiple times until you get it. But I understand why they have burpees and penalties and stuff, because it's another challenge, but anyway. All right. Third question. What is currently your weakest exercise / lift / piece of your physical ability?
Well, right now it's my running, which really sucks for OCR, by the way. But that's improving. My running was at its peak 2-ish years ago, something like that, and then muscular imbalances, my right glute was way weaker than my left anyway, so that would be my weakest thing right now. Yeah, like I said, it was at its peak, but also while my running was at its peak, my lifting was at its lowest. I was like 166 pounds, and I lifted very infrequently because my running was going so well, so I was like, heck, I'm going to keep running. So right now, I would say I'm in the best shape I have been because I'm the best overall rounded, but the thing I need to improve the most is my running. My cardio's decent. I can row very well, do stairs and ski erg, like my cardio's decent, but it's just the running, which of course we know is important for OCR. So
a little less important for high rocks as far as the whole thing, but still very important because the intervals of running.
Yep.
Got it.
All right. Okay, so this is kind of a silly question. I'm not sure how to word it, but would you do a race where the obstacle penalty, if you failed it, was chugging a beer? So you missed the spear, you had to chug a beer.
Yes, only because I think I would fail at so few obstacles that I'd maybe have to chug one or two. Because that's, I mean, the only thing I ever fail at Spartan is the spear. Savage Race, I haven't failed an obstacle in, even on the first try, I haven't failed one in 2 or 3 years. So yes, because I wouldn't have to chug a bunch of beers. I'd only
Okay.
have to maybe do 1 or 2. Like even in harsh conditions, I only failed 2 at the Mill Spring one, the spear throw and the slip wall. So 2 beers wouldn't be that bad.
I think that would suck.
Yeah, I mean, I rarely,
Shotgunning
rarely ever drink alcohol. A few times a year, and in very low quantities when I do. So that would be hard, and I would probably feel pretty awful. And yeah, but I'd do it.
Okay.
Number 4, if you could choose only one of these 2 things, would you rather professionally race full-time, OCR or high rocks or both, whatever, or train clients full-time? But if you're doing one, you can't do the other.
You know, that's tough because I want to help motivate, inspire, and just help people overall. As a professional athlete, you can definitely do that because people look up to you. You have
That's
proud.
true.
If
I
you're a
didn't think
good
of that.
athlete, you have a decent following, so you can make a huge impact that way, kind of indirectly. But then when you're coaching, oh man.
Well, see, coaching you can do pretty much forever, and racing you can't, but you can only do one of the 2. And with coaching people, you get more, you directly affect them, and you can make it
Yeah,
a
I would
healthy,
probably.
practical thing. But in racing, you can maybe motivate more people.
I
Yeah,
would
that's
choose
why I asked the
coaching
question.
because I've been doing this for a little bit, and it's cool to see, no matter what the goal is, it's cool to see those people successfully reach their goal. And like the joy, there's like a spark in their eye for how good they feel, whether it's like completing a course without any failed obstacles or getting an age group or an elite podium, whatever. It's just really cool to see that. So, I mean, it does feel good to do it yourself.
It's
too.
Yeah.
But I think you can make a bigger impact as a coach.
Fair enough.
All right. What is your favorite thing about OCR?
Like competing or
The experience. Like what keeps you, what is the number one thing that keeps you coming back to do OCR?
so it's a combination of the challenge and the competition. I like competing for things because I perform better when I have to compete. I know a lot of people are like that. Some people perform better when they're not under pressure. I think that I perform better when I know I'm up against other people and there's like a weight to what you're doing. And
Definitely.
I like the overall challenge of the course and the competition.
Okay, so it's a challenge.
Yeah,
That's the thing that
yeah.
keeps you
I
coming
guess
back.
overall the challenge. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I
if it
like
was easy,
I like
you'd
challenging
probably-
myself for new things, and that can be like doing the same course 100 times but trying to improve your time, or it could be trying all sorts of different courses and lengths and distances and types and obstacles and seeing what you're capable of doing.
Okay, so consistently.
It's
being
just a
pushed
challenge.
And challenged.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Because I always think if you're, I've seen people who stop challenging themselves, no matter what way you're challenging yourself, and I think that's the worst possible position you could be in, because then you don't grow and everything just becomes, it's like a flat line on the heart monitor, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's how you're going to develop as a person, is if you keep challenging yourself. So
Yep, it's the challenge. I just like challenges.
cool.
Try and do the hardest thing I can and see if I can do it. All right, I think this is the best question of all of them.
Uh-oh.
So they have OCRs, or they've done them. A few different race companies have, where you can take your dog with you. I don't think they've ever done it competitively. But if there were a competitive OCR where you have a dog with you,
My dog?
hold on. And your goal was to finish as fast as
no.
possible, the top finishing place. Would you rather have Zeus with you, your dog, or Echo with you, my dog?
What type of race? What
Any
distance
OCR,
race?
any OCR,
What
We're-
distance?
anything from a Savage Blitz or a Stadium up to an Ultra, either one. And we're not. And this, I mean, you could factor like smarts and obedience into it, or you could just factor like athletics or whatever.
Well, I hope
This is a
Zeus,
funny question.
hope Zeus doesn't hear this, but I would say Echo. So my dog gets his exercise. I take him down to the dog park and I throw the ball, and he will do that all day. So he's sprinting, like he'll go after it as fast as he can, do a nice like light jog, trot back. So that's what he's good at, but I don't have too much experience running with him. I don't doubt his capabilities, but just because he doesn't have that experience, I don't think, because I have run with him a couple times, but he'll like try and jump at my side a little bit, or he'll stop and smell a tree and pee and poop or whatever. So I think he would be a little too distracted, and he just needs more practice. So Echo. Hate to say it though.
That's interesting. As far as smarts go, I would have taken Zeus because he obeys more complicated instructions. So if you had to go over an obstacle, like if Echo doesn't think he can do it, he won't do it. But as far as the endurance and like the running part, I would definitely take my dog.
I wasn't really thinking about obstacles.
But it just depends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, so
that's
something I definitely need to do though, is a mud run with the dog. I think that's the coolest thing
That would be
ever.
so fun to do. Except my dog would try and like hurt all the other dogs and he's a jerk to other dogs. He just runs up to them and growls and then like leaves them alone, but then he gets all weird when they come up to him. He wasn't socialized as a puppy. We adopted him, or he wasn't socialized before we got him, so he's bad with other dogs. He's a jerk. But he's great on his own. And he'll ignore other dogs a lot, so as long as he was ignoring dogs on the course, it'd probably be okay.
He's a strong, independent young pup.
That's true.
Yep. Well, cool. Thanks
Hope you enjoyed the questions.
Taking the time to watch.
You should answer some of these for yourselves. They'd be interesting to hear.
Yeah. And if you have any questions for us, just shoot us a comment or a message, and we'll get back to you.
We will catch you next time on Coach and Coffee.
Thanks for watching.